Well, have we got a show for you? The Backpack Show started in one form or another all the way back in 2020, and I'm going to walk us through with my co-host, Kerry Gorgone, everything it took to get us from the early days to now, some of the methods we used, why we started the show in the first place, and where it's going next.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. There she is. Hello, Kerry Gorgone. Welcome on board The Backpack Show. Hi, how are you?
I was fixing my speaker when you were like, hell, we're going now. So never mind. Now's the time.
Time and tide wait for no one. And so we are here, but we're doing it. We're doing the Backpack Show. We're here live. Look at who's here. We've got my dad, Mr. Steve Brogan. We've got Leslie Burgess here live because sometimes she has to catch it after the fact, as does Mike Vizdos, who was kind enough to shout us out. Kerry, you didn't even know I was going to Shanghai you and make you get on board this ship when we started, but we did. And this was born out of the pandemic for some reasons. But maybe your view is kind of the most pure because you had been here kind of commenting and attending and being part of the audience. And I pulled you from Chloe in the comments and Kate in the comments all the way to Kerry in the comments. Talk about what the Backpack Show launch and everything else that followed meant to you.
Well, it changed a lot. So originally you were just like, I don't know, maybe I'll make a pork roast and show people. And then it became, I'm going to catch up with some of my other friends who also aren't doing anything right now because pandemic, right? So you were doing that. And that's kind of when I came along because frankly, I don't cook pork roast. But when you were talking to people that I had also talked to, I was like, oh, did you know he has this like weird collection? Or did you know they did this? Like I just from the long career I've had interviewing people in the marketing space, I just knew a bunch of stuff. So I would comment and I was in no way prepared when you asked me to help you with the show to actually be on it the morning that I showed up. I was like, oh, I'll sit back here. I'll show banners. I'll like give you notes and stuff. And I ended up out there. So it ended up being a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed interviewing people and learning and stuff like that. So for me, it was a win from the beginning. I was really excited when we made the shift from marketing folks that we kind of already know to success insights from unusual places. That was when I think that's why I'm still doing it, because that's when like all my neurons started firing. I loved finding people from industries I was not familiar with, or really cool kind of twisty career journeys, or just fun, like whimsical kind of things, or people who were doing something after having had a whole career already. Like, anyway, I learned a lot, am learning a lot, and that's why I keep coming back to it. What about you?
The reason we made that turn in the road was because I just saw a lot of our friends interviewing each other. And I was like, we've already done this so many times. All the marketing turd heads talk to the marketing turd heads. What's the point? And so we immediately set off kind of finding guests. This was a time where I was still pretty active on Twitter. And so I could reach out to kind of anybody and they'd see sort of my follower count and go, well, yes, we would get on this show. And again, the concept of getting success insights from unusual places was a really fun way to start because we could go after anything. Philip Ashley Ricks, the guy who had a dream about becoming a chocolatier and came and went and did that. We also got to interview some existing friends, JJ French from Twisted Sister and Ted from IZEA, Ted Murphy from IZEA. We've had lots and lots of kind of interesting experience on the way and met lots of new friends, lots of great people to connect with. So we've had a real great opportunity, I think, along the way to make cool stuff happen. And I guess what I was hoping for in putting the show together and coming up with the idea at all for the show, it was just, I wonder if there are ways that we could contribute to a little bit of entertainment in somebody's workday that's not the typical business show. It's not like the, let's talk about our products. But instead, it's about how people grow, how they develop, how people can choose to find a new way to lead their life. Along the way, we've also kind of mixed and matched how we do finding our guests. I find my guests by complete whimsy, and I usually just reach out and say, you seem nice, and you do it by, you go through like a pretty rigorous process. That's changed a little over the years too with some tools. Why don't we talk about guest selection?
So there's a couple ways that I still do it. One is if I think, I wonder what it's like to be a children's book illustrator, I'll go looking and find one. And I actually had, I came across one because I was looking for like a childhood friend of mine. I was like, oh, I wonder whatever happened to her. And this is not her, it's just someone with the same name. But I was like, oh, that is a really cool job, not person I was looking for. So I pitched them because I came across them. So that's more like traditionally, it's more like how you do it. You just come across someone and like, that's cool. I do that sometimes. Other times, I'll look specifically for a type of person, like an indigenous business founder or something. Like I'll find an awards panel that vets people like indigenous business owners for awards every year. And I'm like, well, heck, I've got like a ready-made list I can go check out. And then the other way I do it is I've learned to use Claude. I made myself a guest research agent in AI, where I tell it all the things that we value. So minority voices, underrepresented folks, up and comers, people with really weird career journeys, or really interesting pockets of business somewhere, like doing something unexpected. They know what the show's about. They know what we're looking for. And I'm like, go find me some folks. And it'll give me a really robust list if I ask for one. Sometimes I'll say, you know what, I'm in the mood for like some people mixing it up. Find me some shit disturbers. And it'll find me people disrupting their industry. It's very responsive to that. Then I also have to say, is there any red flags? Anybody been canceled? Like, what's the story with this person? Then I manually, obviously, look at them, check them out, their posts, see what I feel like they're about. And we've come across some really interesting people that way. So that's how I do it. It's a little bit of everything, and I love it. I will say it's harder to get a yes now than it was because I think during the pandemic, people had more time on their hands. It's a little harder now, but I still get some surprising yeses, I think.
Oh, I think you reach a lot of great people. I think too, in doing different iterations of the show and like taking a little break to try play for time and see if that method worked, it is fun coming back to the interview format. And as days like today where we don't have a guest, we can interview each other, which we're always happy to have a nice conversation. But it's fun to try to pull out interesting information from people. Fun and sometimes frustrating. But you kind of have to do a little bit of both. Hey, you know what I thought I would do is I'd cover a sponsor. So one of our two sponsors is Chloe Forbes Kinlan. If I have now had firsthand experience of if someone does not know how to use Notion, you will have a very unfun time joining their pitiful attempt at a customer portal. And so if you want a really good, comfortable, great experience building things like a customer portal or a sales client platform or all kinds of the different things that you could use Notion to build, Chloe is absolutely our person. And she's got a really cool thing. If you go to businessops.co/backpack, you can get a free Notion for Business starter kit. So you don't even have to know what you're going to build just yet. You could just know that you should probably get that. So thank you, Chloe, for sponsoring us. Kerry, what is in your mind? What's it take to make a show like this? And there's an interesting point to this because I was absolutely dead set against using this software, StreamYard. I was definitely against using StreamYard, but I surely have turned my ways around. I'm now an ambassador or whatever they call their affiliates. What does it take to make a show like this? And how many times have people mistaken you as the person putting the whole show together and running 100% of it or something?
What do you mean mistaken me for being the person who runs 100% of it? What do you do but show up? Just kidding. So let me think about that for a minute. What does it take to drive the show? So you have to want to do it because if you don't, then it's a grind. So the reason I do it is because I love learning and I'm curious about people and I would love to learn how they've managed to achieve success in these weird, spaces or in these unexpected ways. So for me, that's what keeps me coming back to it. I mean, there's times that, somebody will like cancel at the last minute or worse, not cancel that we're waiting and then they're like in the dentist chair or something. I mean, that stuff happens because it's live, it's going to happen. But it's worth it to me the times that we have someone in and I just love talking to them and I learn something from them. To me, there's just nothing better. But now I have a question for you in turn. And this isn't about the logistics of making the show. Like StreamYard, by the way, can do way more than we do with it. Just so you know, like we use it for a very straight ahead kind of thing. They have other camera angles, they have all kinds of stuff, but we're not getting paid to sponsor it. So I'm like, I don't care. But it's great. It does what I want. But for you, this is a live show. That means every Friday from like 10:45 to 11:30, you have to carve out this time. And I know it is not easy. There are times that you've had, you've been a chief of staff, you're working for a CEO. They have this tendency to call you right before you have to jump off. Or there's other times that you get frustrated and you just don't feel like doing it today. That's rare, but it happens. So why do you still do it after all these years, this live format every Friday at 11?
I don't want to answer this now. There are two different things that I feel excitement about with regards to the live format specifically. One is it is very similar to the feeling of being live on stage giving a speech. I have for very many years been a keynote speaker on stages, and I used to do it a lot more and I haven't done it as much, but I've got a few speeches coming up this year. The experience that I crave the most being on stage is the opposite of what most speakers want. Most speakers want to have locked in their speech, know the facets of their speech, can run through it forward and backwards, are super ready to like hit every point that they've put on every single slide. And I'm the dead opposite. I trust my domain knowledge to get me through my speeches. And what I least do is prepare like a very set path. Now, as I aged, I most certainly tried to make sure I did a little bit better with the pathing so that left-brained people who hate me would be a little more like they know where I'm going to try to land the plane. And so I changed it a little. But what transfers to StreamYard and a live show is that real excitement of being able to think on my feet and do it live. The other thing I really enjoy, and it's very deeply related, it's almost the same answer twice. The other thing I love very, very much is I love dynamic interviewing. I have been interviewed thousands of times. You and I have interviewed people thousands of times. I cannot fathom the kinds of people who are reading off their little list and going up the numbers. And I could say I murdered a bus full of dogs, and they'd be like, okay, now tell me a little bit more about when you were writing the book Trust Agents. And I'm like, did you not hear the sentence prior to this? Like, it is fascinating to me when people just kind of keep their agenda. And so I get excited doing live interviews. Question turned around. What are you getting out of this shenanigans?
What am I getting out of it? I told you I loved learning, and I'm a sucker for it. And I think all of us have hope that our life can be what we want it to be. And so I love finding people who are on that journey and who have made success happen, even sometimes against all kinds of odds, definitely against other people's expectations. I love stories like that. But I love more than just kind of the glossy, Hallmark movie type tale about it. Like, I don't want the Upworthy, slide deck meme version of the story. I want the real story, which will tell you we slept on a mattress because they repossessed our nightstand and our bed because we were trying to make this happen, but they hung in there and they made it happen. Like Jesse Cole trying to bring Savannah Bananas, make it happen as a professional like sports team. And like nobody was interested in the beginning, and he put it all out there. So I like that people share the hard part as well, because this show, like unlike a lot of other shows, it's not about trying to make you feel better about yourself or get jealous of other people's perfect existence. It's like showing you a path. So if you want to do something that other people say is impossible or think isn't worth it, that you have resources within yourself that can help you get there. And these kind of, to me, they point you to the resources in yourself, because there's nothing that anybody's come on and talked to us about that I didn't feel like you could do. So you have resilience and grit and kindness, or you put aside ego. Like, these are all things any of us can do. And to me, that's just so exciting to remind myself of that every Friday.
I like that. I like your answer. I think you went a little deeper with that answer, which is very interesting. I think also in this whole process, I mean, my number one thing always is to connect. I always like the feeling of, people feeling like they've found a place where they belong. The other thing I've come to learn is that a lot of times one of the challenges with connection is that people don't quite feel they have permission to do something. And so I find that a lot of times watching our guest make a choice, in some ways lends some permission to other people. It says, well, if this person could do it with these kinds of things stacked between them and the goal, maybe I could do it too. Who is the entrepreneur we just talked to? He just kept getting stuck, all kinds of things in his way. $30,000 bill comes up and he doesn't even know what to do with it.
So that was Dallas Arcand, the champion hoop dancer, and it was so interesting talking to him, because if you'd had to pick someone that had the hardest start, I mean, he would be in the top handful of people. He had a really hard childhood, and he was open about that. So right out of the gate, he is well behind in starting out. And yet, he didn't just give up from the beginning or try to find an easy way to make a buck and make some bad choices. He worked really hard to turn his life around. He had some people who believed in him, but he did most of the hard work, if not all the hard work himself, and made a life for himself and his kids, and created business after business. He's an author. He's got a book out now. I could go find it. He shared the website with me. But those kinds of stories, it's kind of to me, it's a combination of inspiration and also kind of a slap in the face. Hey, listen, what are you making excuses for that you can't do this incredibly easier than what he had to do thing? Go get your act together. If you want to do a thing, do a thing. And I love that. I know some people might not, but I do. So what did you think? I like when people put the difficult parts into their story as well, but maybe you prefer this a happy ending story.
No, I think that was a conversation I had a lot of times early on in being Chris Brogan, was that people would be like, man, you share all of the failures. You share all of the things that go wrong. It's incredible how often you point out something that didn't go your way, or that you made a mistake, or that people were grumpy with you. And I say, look, I mean, I have other people who follow me really closely, and if I fall in a hole, they're going to fall in a hole. And some of the people don't explain that they also fell in the hole, and they just explain, how it looks from the good side of it. And I say, I'm going to show you where every hole was too, so that you can kind of avoid some of them, and I think that showing the highlight reel is good, and it's very inspiring. And I guess there's times when you want that speech, you don't want to go to war and be just ready to jump out of the plane and find out that, one second. Hey, work getting in the way. You don't want to be, getting ready to jump into war and have somebody tell you negative things. There's times when you have to hear the positives. But if you're going to build something based on someone else's roadmap or model, you're going to need to have those things out there and in front. So you're going to run into some trouble there as well. So, righty, I will put that link up on stage that you shared with me. So yeah, I think there's always an opportunity in this whole storyline to see the full picture. And I think that along the way, when you do that, you get a much better story. All right, Kerry, we have it up. Let's talk.
I just wanted to make a banner of it, but a short link banner, so people could actually, because it was kind of a long link. Dallas Arcand, his most recent thing is his book, The Grassroots of an Indigenous Entrepreneur. But it talks you through his entire journey, including how he started out and what he's been able to do since, how he was able to use his experience performing at the Olympics, which is crazy, performing in front of millions of people on live TV, into opportunities. I think a lot of people think they've done one big thing and that's their crowning achievement, and they dine out on that for the rest of their life. He was always thinking of the next thing, how can I use this success to fuel more success? So that's what I really love about Dallas Arcand, and I recommend this book, so go check it out.
And I went to make a short link while we were talking, and evidently my app is somehow having a problem. My friends over at Bitly, I'm sort of hidden in their like grandfathered side of Bitly, so I'm sure they're over there going, I don't know who this guy even is. Anyway, that's the thing. I guess as we're wrapping up and as we're winding down, the question I might also have is, why on this earth did we decide what we decided, and where does it take us? Like, where do we go? Why are we keeping this show going? You know, we're both busy. We both have work. I just had work interrupt me. You're like getting ready to get out of Dodge. Like, why are we doing this to ourselves?
I love talking to people and learning things, and if no one else came for this and I just did it to do it, I would still be happy.
I mean, that's a pretty good answer. I'll take it. Hey, let's get to the end of this show. We got to get out of here. Our other sponsor is our friend Fazia Burke, who has an incredible, wonderful service that she offers to all kinds of authors, and she does book marketing for authors, but she's also helping people understand how you could use AI for some of this as well. Because as the world changes, you know, AI is definitely impacting how people do marketing. I use AI for marketing now. I think you do as well. You've built lots of things. So you can go to fauziaburke.substack.com and you can take a look at everything she's got going on. And she is sponsoring our person of the day. So with that in mind, I guess I should probably choose one.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
Oops, I need to also take that media asset back down off the screen because I'm a dude. Okay, so our person of the day, we'll pick Leslie today. I think meeting new people, learning the experience is a great way to continue learning about the world around us. Chloe also says, thanks for the commitment and showing up and inviting us all to such a fun show full of learning and laughter each week. At this point, we're just here to hang out with you. I mean, we're not hoping some really amazing thing happens. We're not expecting, you know, I don't know, Jimmy from Mr. Beast to come and say we should absorb the show into his show. But, you know, we're having our fun, aren't we?
Think about the fact that I wouldn't know Chloe if we didn't do this show. I have met a lot of people doing this show that are now part of my, I don't even want to say my network, but like, because I don't like that many people, right? It's like an elite cadre of people that I learn from and rely on and share with on the regular. So if anything, this show does way more for me than I do for it.
Well, with that in mind, it does make me think of how it was growing up watching my grandpa meet people, because as a candy salesman, his job was to meet people all the time. And we'd go up Sand Hill to Flo's Variety, and we'd go down Water Street to Depot News. And then every now and again, he would take me to a really weird part of town, and we'd see
I bet your mom loved that when you get back and ask questions like, what is a